Welcome to Acoustic Wisdom, where we take ancient and modern wisdom and we smash them into acoustic music. Today we're taking a look at Dr. Richard Alpert, also known as Ram Dass. And we're going to take a look at a couple of things that just might make your musical practice a whole lot sweeter. Stay tuned. So we took a little bit of a break over the holiday season, but we are back, and I wanted to do a little quote here from a book from Ram Dass. Now, Ram Dass, back in 1967, had gone to India, found a guru there, and who had given him the name Ram Dass. He was Dr. Richard Alpert before that, and he had come back to the States after a while and started spreading these teachings around, and they got passed around a lot and was a major influence in a lot of people and their spiritual practice. And this book that he had written called Be Here Now is probably the most famous book that he's written. And it's kind of a weird book. It's you should definitely check out this book. Definitely read this book. It's the most unbook kind of thing that I've ever seen. I mean, you open it up and it's got, if you check this out, it's got like almost like paper bag kind of paper in there, and it's got regular paper, but it's almost like somebody did some scribbles and artwork and all that stuff on brown paper bags, and then they stuffed it into a book. It's really cool. And so not only that, normally we read a book like this, we open this up, but you get to the middle, and you've got to read it like this. So that is really cool, and it kind of gets you out of the whole reading a book kind of thing. You get a whole different mindset. It's strange. And I don't know if this was written from a talk. It kind of seems like that. There's a lot of different things in here, and the words are written in different ways, and some are here and here and here, and you got to kind of piece them together, and it's just awesome. And so I wanted to read something from this, and because this book was a really powerful book to me when I read this many, many years ago. And so here's what it says in here. If you have ever watched a beautiful Zen monk, a very old monk who was really there, or here, really here, whichever, you watch him. He's cooking food, he's lifting stones, he's moving, and you watch him walk, and it's like nobody's walking. The legs are going, and the whole thing is happening, but nothing is happening no matter what is happening. And that's what blows your mind when we get out of the kinds of heads we've got going that don't allow us to really understand how this can be. So, he's talking about an old monk, talking about a master who is like walking around and really doing normal things, but he's doing them with effortlessness. Doesn't even look like he's doing anything, just kind of like floating around is super easy, right? And then he goes on to say that what really blows your mind when you can get out of your head is that how can this be? How can he do this? And I think one of the biggest things we need to look at is, are we in our heads too much? I have students that talk about, well, I want to know all the things. Like, what is the scale? What is the arpeggio? What is the, we're applying this to music. This applies to everything, just like all these quotes. This is more than just music, but for this, I want to just center this on how this can make you a better musician. And if you are stuck in your head and you are thinking about, what am I doing with this scale, and how does this apply to this chord, and how does this arpeggio fit over this, and what are the scale degrees, and what is the tonic, and what is the, all the chord tones and those things, and how do I practice this, and all of this stuff can be just, it can get in the way, and it is a trap. I will say that you need to know this stuff. You need to know what your scales are. You need to know what your notes are. You need to know what the arpeggios are. You need to know what the chords are. You need to know how the chords are built. The chord theory, how do you build melodies, how are harmonies made? Like, you need to know these things, right? But by going into it, there is a little trap that's there. And if you're not careful, you can get caught in that trap. And if you get caught in it, you're just going to get stuck. And so what happens is you will never make music. You will always be stuck in the minutia of learning this stuff, which is all the mind. This is what it is. This is what he's talking about, being stuck in your head. You know, we've been given these minds, these beautiful, beautiful minds, and the way that we can think about things and how we can process that information. This is awesome, but it is also a trap. If you get stuck in there, you will never make music. So you have to go in there and you have to learn it. But at the same time, you have to let it go. So how do you do that? Well, you practice it and you practice it and you practice it. You know, he talks about the old monk. He's not saying some young whippersnapper guy who just started off being a monk is sort of like floating around the stones and doing things effortlessly. No, it's an old guy, right? Doesn't mean that you have to be old in order to be a master, but the point is that it takes time. And playing your scales, playing your regimented etudes, all of these things that we do, that has to be one part of your practice. And then you go, okay, and I'm going to just play music. I'm just going to improvise. I'm going to do whatever. And maybe, how do I use this scale? And what if I put this scale with this scale? You know, you start the experimentation. You go into the right brain side of things, like the illogical side of the brain, and then things start to happen, right? So think about all of the masters that you know. Think about all of the master guitar players when you look at them and you say, it doesn't even look like they're playing. Their fingers are just doing this, you know, and I hear all these notes coming out. How is that even possible? You know, well, you're thinking about it too logically. You have to go into the practice and experiment and do all of these things, and then you will know. Then you will have the experience of that. And that is what it is really about. You can't just get like a pill that is going to give you the effortlessness. You know, you have to train and do these things until you get the experience, and then it will happen for you. And speaking of letting it happen for you, I'm going to talk about a couple of different things today, a little bit of a different side of this channel, but a couple of different products that I use that help my practice out tremendously. And I don't get paid for this stuff. I wish I did, because I talk about this stuff with my students and they end up getting it and love it. And I go, well, you know, I'm glad that you have it. So, not a paid promotion. I'm just showing you this is my experience with these things. And let's check this out. Be right back. Okay, so what we have here is a couple of headphones. I have AirPods here, and I have a pair of Sony headphones. And the reason why I love these things, I'm going to talk about the AirPods first. Not only do these sound really awesome, and I know everybody's ears are different, everybody hears differently, and especially musicians, they have hearing loss and all that other stuff. Not everybody, but these sound super great. They're super clean, and for acoustic music, they are awesome, because some headphones tend to like boost the bass too much because people listen to pop music or hip hop or whatever, and they want a lot of bass. They want their head to shake. But for me, almost everything that I listen to is real acoustic instruments. And because of that, I want to have a pair of headphones that sound real and isn't being made to boost bass or anything like that too much. So these aren't going to be reference headphones, but they sound really good. And I have a case on this, so you can see that these are the Pro versions. They're small, they fit in your ears. But why, as a musician, would you want to get something like this? These have a thing called transparency mode, and so out here you have little microphones on here, so that when you have them in, it's actually putting the sound through here, into your head. So I could have these headphones on and I could put it into transparency mode and I can actually hear my guitar and it doesn't sound muffled. And that is awesome because I always like to practice with headphones on. If I'm using a metronome or something like that, I want to hear that, and maybe I don't want to bother anybody else with the metronome sound, and I just want to put that into my ear. So these are great so I can hear the click, but I can also hear my guitar pretty much just like if I didn't have the headphones on, right? And that's really, really important. And the transparency mode in these is really good. It doesn't sound like, some people say, well, it's a little mechanical. To me, it's a bad representation. It doesn't really say what it does. But it sounds really good in your ears. Your acoustic guitar sounds really good through here. And then if you're learning a song, like if I'm learning something, transcribing something, I'll put these in so I can hear what I'm playing the right notes, and then I can have that hooked up to my computer, my laptop, my phone, whatever, and then I can be transcribing that into whatever app I'm using to transcribe that stuff. So, these are like around $250. They're not cheap, but they are super worth it, and they work on iPhone and Android, and like I said, on your laptops and stuff like that too. So that transparency mode as a musician is really fantastic. And the Sonys here also have the transparency mode. This is the greatest name in the world, and it's the WH-1000X-M3, and these headphones sound really great. They have more boost in the bass, but they sound really great. The transparency mode is really good in here as well. I would say the transparency mode is not as good as the AirPods, but sounds really good. I think that I wish that you could make the transparency mode louder or softer. I get why they don't do that, but as a musician, that would be a really nice feature. I want to turn my guitar up a little bit more or turn it down a little bit or something like that. That would be super cool, but it isn't. It isn't there. So, and being wireless, playing with a pair of wired headphones or anything like that, the wire gets in the way, it's slapping on your guitar, it's always hitting your hand when you're trying to play or something like that. It's just dumb. These are great. So, I also have a pair of Neurophones, which also have transparency mode. Those sound very tinny to me. It's fine. They work, but they don't work anywhere near as well as these do. So that is it for headphones. This other thing that I have that I use for recording, this is a Shure microphone. It's got stereo mics and a mic here, so you actually have three, so you can get this mid-side recording with the left and right and the directional here. It has like a 3D kind of sound to it, and so you have a lightning port here. This sounds really good. I plug it right into the bottom of my iPhone, and if I'm recording an idea and I just don't want it to sound like, off of the regular microphone, I want it to sound a little bit better. The fidelity on this is really, really good, and you can tell it's a big difference. So this is a good plus for that. The only problem with this is if you have a case on your iPhone, you're going to have to take that case off because this is going to get in the way and it won't sit flush on there, which was a really dumb design. But I found these on Amazon. It's a Lightning male to Lightning female, and this I just put on here like that, and then this goes into the iPhone and it fits just fine. And you can put this just like Lightning. You can put this either way. It doesn't matter. This thing rocks. You have a little 45-degree angle on there that you can turn this. This also rotates, or you can angle the left and right microphones on here. Fine. for practicing, getting ideas down that sound high quality. I've got like so many recordings of just, I get an idea in my head and I want to get it down really quickly before I lose it. I might not be able to sit there for 2 hours to work a song out. Plug this guy in, hit record, and name it, put a date on it or something like that, and I have a great recording. So that's another thing that I find invaluable. So a couple of other things I want to talk about is an app. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so this is an app called Drumbeats Plus, and again, I don't get paid for any of this stuff. I'm just telling you this is what I use, and I love this stuff. This is such a great app because I can find all of these different drum patterns, and they're actually real drums. Somebody recorded them and put them into a sort of a metronome app, and some people don't like playing with a metronome. They don't like to hear that click, click, click all the time. So you might want to hear... let's go a little faster. So I can select how fast I want to go, say 120 beats, and clicks off 4 times. And there I go. I can practice with that. There is swing, there's 3/4, there are all these different things that you can do. Brushes. So this is really fun to practice with. Metronomes are great. This is sometimes way better, and you can actually create ideas because you're getting all of these different rhythms as opposed to just hearing a click, click, click. So I really love this app. This other app is called Pro Metronome, and there's one thing in this that I like that is probably worth getting here. So let's get rid of that. We don't want that. So if I hit this bottom button here, I can do what's called the automator in practice mode. And if I'm working on something that is, say it's 4 measures, 4 bars. So it says every 4 bars increase 10 beats per minute. Okay, well, what if I want to do 3 beats per minute? So every 4 measures, this is going to get 3 beats per minute faster. Then I can say I want to start at 60 beats per minute, or 59, 58, and then the max tempo here I have it set at 200. So okay, well that's too fast for me, so I'm going to take this down to 150. Okay, and so what'll happen is it'll play through 4 measures, and then it'll get 3 beats per minute faster. So it'll get to 63 beats per minute, and then 66 beats per minute, and so on until it gets to finally at 150 beats per minute. You don't have to touch it. So if you're working on a scale, an arpeggio, or some kind of riff, and you don't want to like stop and speed it up, it's doing that for you, so you never have to stop playing, which is really great. You could just keep going and going and going and going. And to me, that is a really great practice tool because it helps me to learn something much faster, because I don't have to fiddle with a metronome and making it go a little bit faster, a little bit faster. I can always just start on this, and I use it as a warm-up technique too. So because it's going so slow, I might just have a simple warm-up scale or a simple warm-up exercise. I'll put it in there, go really slow, and then I have a great warm-up for 5 minutes. And I love that. So that's the Pro Metronome, and I hope you like that. I have a couple of other things that I would like to show you. I'm going to save those for another video. And if you have any questions on any of these things, let me know down in the comments and I'll get back to you. And until then, we'll see you next time.